Jealousy is a natural emotion, but it can often manifest in harmful ways. As Stoics, understanding and managing jealousy, both in ourselves and others, can help us maintain peace and balance in life. In today's video, we'll explore 10 subtle signs that someone might be jealous of you, and how to respond to them with wisdom and composure. Sign 1. Backhanded compliments. Jealousy is often subtle and disguised, and one of the most common ways it manifests is through backhanded compliments. These are statements that seem like praise on the surface, but are laced with an undercurrent of negativity or judgment. For instance, someone might say, "You've done so well for someone with your background," or "It's impressive that you pulled this off despite your limitations." At first glance, these comments appear supportive, but when you look closer, you realize they are diminishing your effort or suggesting that your success is undeserved. This is a passive-aggressive way of expressing envy, as the person giving the compliment struggles to reconcile your achievements with their own insecurities. From a Stoic perspective, backhanded compliments provide an opportunity for us to practice equanimity. Stoicism reminds us that we cannot control how others perceive us or what they say about us, but we can control how we respond. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When someone delivers a backhanded compliment, it can be tempting to feel hurt, frustrated, or defensive. However, by recognizing their words for what they are, a reflection of their inner turmoil rather than a judgment of your worth, you can maintain your peace of mind. The Stoic approach to backhanded compliments is to detach yourself from the need for validation or approval. Jealousy often arises because others measure themselves against you and feel inadequate in comparison. It has nothing to do with your abilities or achievements, and everything to do with their inability to handle their emotions. Instead of letting their remarks disturb your tranquility, acknowledge their envy without judgment or hostility. By doing so, you demonstrate resilience and wisdom, turning a potentially negative encounter into a moment of personal growth. Additionally, consider how you interpret these situations. Backhanded compliments can serve as an unintended acknowledgement of your success. After all, people rarely feel jealous of those who don't stand out in some way. If you weren't excelling or doing something noteworthy, they wouldn't feel the need to downplay your accomplishments. In a way, their remarks validate that you are on the right path. The key is to focus on your internal values and self-assessment rather than allowing their disguised negativity to affect your self-perception. In moments like these, remind yourself of Epictetus's teaching. When someone criticizes or praises you, remember that they are not talking about you, but about their perception of you. Their words are a reflection of their own insecurities, frustrations, or unfulfilled desires, not an accurate depiction of who you are. Recognizing this gives you the freedom to rise above their negativity without feeling the need to respond or retaliate. Instead of engaging in their emotional drama, choose to be indifferent to their comments and steadfast in your pursuit of excellence. Finally, practice compassion toward those who resort to backhanded compliments. Jealousy is a heavy burden to carry, and people who struggle with it often act out of fear, insecurity, or a lack of self-awareness. While you are not responsible for their feelings, you can choose to respond with kindness or simply let their comments pass without reaction. In doing so, you embody the Stoic principle of maintaining your dignity and composure regardless of external circumstances. This not only preserves your inner peace, but also sets an example of how to live a life of virtue and self-control. So, the next time you encounter a backhanded compliment, see it as an opportunity to exercise your Stoic discipline. Treat it as noise, focus on your journey, and let your success speak for itself. True confidence doesn't need external validation, nor can it be shaken by the subtle envy of others. Sign 2. They downplay your achievements. Jealousy often manifests subtly, and one of the most common ways it shows is through the downplaying of your achievements. Imagine pouring your time, energy, and passion into something you're proud of, a promotion, a creative project, or a personal milestone, only to hear a dismissive, half-hearted response like, "Oh, that's not such a big deal," or "Anyone could have done that." These statements may seem harmless on the surface, but they are often rooted in envy. The person saying them may struggle to celebrate your success because it highlights their insecurities or shortcomings. In the lens of Stoic philosophy, such behavior reflects a lack of inner peace in the person who minimizes your accomplishments. According to Marcus Aurelius, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Jealous individuals often have negative or competitive thoughts that prevent them from genuinely appreciating others. When someone downplays your success, it's essential to remain grounded. Remember, your achievements are a reflection of your efforts, not someone else's opinion. As a Stoic, your focus should be on your own growth, detached from external validation or criticism. Seneca reminds us, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." The jealous individual craves recognition and status, but fails to find contentment within themselves. Instead of feeling hurt or angry when someone minimizes your success, take it as an opportunity to practice empathy. Understand that their reaction speaks volumes about their internal struggles and has little to do with you. Respond with grace, avoid boasting, and continue to strive for excellence, not to impress others, but to fulfill your own potential. This approach not only helps you stay true to your Stoic values, but also diffuses any tension that envy may create in your relationships. Sign 3. Overcritical behavior. When someone is jealous of you, they often exhibit overcritical behavior as a way to mask their envy. This can manifest as constant nitpicking, unwarranted negativity, or even undermining your efforts, no matter how well you perform. They may focus excessively on minor flaws, blowing them out of proportion, or offer unsolicited criticism under the guise of being helpful. What makes this behavior particularly insidious is that it often comes from people you expect to support you. From a Stoic perspective, it's important to recognize that this criticism has more to do with the critic than with you. Jealousy stems from their internal conflict, their inability to reconcile your success with their own insecurities. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Instead of reacting defensively or internalizing their words, Stoicism teaches us to maintain our composure and focus on our own actions. Ask yourself, am I acting with virtue and integrity? If the answer is yes, then their judgment holds no real weight. Their words may sting, but remember, you are not responsible for their emotions or their envy. Overcritical behavior often arises because your achievements highlight something they feel is lacking in their own life. It's a projection of their dissatisfaction, and by finding flaws in you, they attempt to bring you down to their level. When faced with such behavior, strive to practice equanimity. Do not retaliate or let their negativity disrupt your peace. Instead, respond with kindness, or better yet, with silence. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Their criticism only holds power if you give it weight. By staying grounded in your principles, you rise above their negativity and continue on your path to growth and success. Sign 4. Silent treatment on social media. In the modern world, social media has become an integral part of our lives, a space where people share their achievements, milestones, and moments of joy. It's a platform where connections are nurtured through likes, comments, and interactions. However, when someone harbors jealousy toward you, this virtual space can also become a silent battlefield. One of the clearest signs of jealousy is the silent treatment on social media. This isn't the usual act of someone being busy or not scrolling enough. It's an intentional act of withholding attention or engagement. They may scroll past your posts, refuse to acknowledge your achievements, or avoid engaging with your updates altogether, even when they actively participate in other people's content. This silence isn't random. It's often fueled by their feelings of insecurity or resentment toward your progress. Imagine you've just shared a major accomplishment, a promotion, a new creative project, or even a personal milestone, and your jealous acquaintance, who usually interacts with other people's posts, remains conspicuously quiet. They might see your post, but choose not to like or comment because doing so would feel like admitting your success, something they struggle to acknowledge. They might even go a step further and unfollow or mute you, not because they don't care, but because your achievements serve as a constant reminder of what they feel they lack. Social media, in this case, becomes a mirror reflecting their own insecurities, and their silence is their way of avoiding that reflection. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior is a prime example of how envy can cloud a person's judgment and lead to unnecessary hostility. Jealousy often stems from the false belief that someone else's success diminishes their own worth. Stoicism, however, teaches us that the only things truly within our control are our thoughts and actions, not how others perceive or react to us. Their silent treatment might feel personal, but in reality, it's a reflection of their inner struggles, not your shortcomings. Marcus Aurelius reminds us in his Meditations that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When faced with the silent treatment on social media, it's important to resist the urge to seek their validation or let their behavior influence your self-esteem. If someone chooses to withhold engagement, it's their choice, but it doesn't define your worth or the value of your achievements. Instead of focusing on their absence, focus on the genuine connections in your life, those who celebrate your victories, engage with your growth, and support your journey. Use this as an opportunity to practice gratitude for the people who uplift you, rather than dwelling on those who don't. Additionally, recognize the power of compassion in these moments. While their silence might feel hurtful, it often stems from a place of pain or insecurity. As Epictetus reminds us, it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. By reframing their behavior, you can free yourself from the emotional weight it might carry. Instead of interpreting their silence as rejection, see it as a sign of their struggles and respond with understanding rather than resentment. Ultimately, the silent treatment on social media is a subtle but revealing sign of jealousy. It may sting, especially if the person was once supportive or close to you, but it's a reminder of the Stoic principle to remain indifferent to external opinions. Social media engagement, while gratifying, is not a measure of your value. Your journey, your achievements, and your growth are yours alone, and they remain significant regardless of who chooses to acknowledge them. Stay focused on your path and let the silence of others be a lesson in resilience and self-worth. Sign 5. Unhealthy competition. Jealousy often reveals itself through unhealthy competition, a behavior that goes beyond the natural desire to improve or succeed. When someone is jealous of you, their competition isn't about mutual growth or learning. It's about trying to outdo you in every aspect, even at the expense of their own well-being. In such a scenario, the jealous individual may constantly compare their achievements to yours, only to feel inferior or inadequate when they fall short. This often leads them to engage in negative, competitive behavior that isn't based on merit or healthy rivalry, but rather on a deep-rooted insecurity. The nature of unhealthy competition is not about sharing the spotlight. It's about needing to be the center of attention at all costs, even if that means tearing down others or trying to claim something that doesn't truly belong to them. The Stoic perspective on competition is crucial here. A Stoic understands that external accomplishments and comparisons with others are ultimately beyond their control. As Epictetus wisely puts it, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When someone engages in unhealthy competition against you, it's a reflection of their internal struggles and lack of inner peace. They might seek to surpass you or diminish your success as a way to validate their own worth, but this effort is born out of fear, envy, and the absence of a solid internal foundation. Stoics would say that this constant striving to outdo others reflects a mind enslaved to external validation, which is fleeting and unreliable. Rather than taking their competition personally, it's important to understand that they are driven by their own insecurities, and their actions are more about them than about you. For a Stoic, the solution is to avoid being caught in the cycle of comparison and to remain focused on their own growth. We must strive to improve ourselves for our own sake, not in response to the behavior of others. As Seneca put it, a jealous person is driven by envy, and no good can come from a mind fueled by envy. Instead of engaging in this unhealthy dynamic, a Stoic embraces what they can control, their own thoughts, emotions, and actions. You might notice the person who feels threatened by you, trying to mimic your actions, or even undermine your achievements in subtle ways, seeking to prove that they are just as good, if not better, than you. This may take the form of passive-aggressive comments or public attempts to overshadow your successes. However, it's important to recognize that this type of behavior is rooted in their inner turmoil. It is not a reflection of your own value or worth, but a manifestation of their inability to find peace within themselves. In situations like this, it is vital to keep a Stoic perspective. Do not let their unhealthy competition disturb your peace. Marcus Aurelius advises, when someone is properly educated, they are less likely to be jealous because they understand that there is no need to compare themselves to others. All that matters is their own virtue. This means that the Stoic should avoid being drawn into a battle of egos. Instead of reacting with frustration or resentment, a Stoic would use this as an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. Their focus would remain inward, on cultivating virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, rather than on winning or proving themselves superior to others. Furthermore, unhealthy competition often stems from a lack of trust in one's own abilities. The person who feels the need to compete against you in unhealthy ways may not trust that their own path to success is valid. They may think that to win, someone else must lose. The Stoic approach, however, teaches that there is enough space for everyone to thrive and succeed. There is no need to diminish others to elevate oneself, because true fulfillment comes from internal growth, not from external rivalry. In practical terms, if you find yourself dealing with someone who engages in unhealthy competition, remember to remain calm and composed. You don't need to prove anything to them. Your worth is not determined by their perception of you, nor by their attempts to outdo you. Instead, continue to pursue your own goals with integrity and focus on the things that matter most to you. Your success and personal growth are the only rewards that matter. By refusing to participate in unhealthy competition, you can avoid the toxic cycle of comparison and instead choose the Stoic path of self-mastery and inner peace. Sign 6. Gossiping about you. When someone is jealous of you, it often doesn't manifest in clear, obvious ways. Instead, it can show up subtly, almost like a whisper behind your back, which is why gossiping about you is one of the more telling signs. When a person begins gossiping about you, it's not just an innocent exchange of words. It goes beyond casual conversation or harmless chit-chat. They begin to weave stories, sometimes fabricated or exaggerated, to shape others' perception of you. These stories may distort your achievements, focus on your shortcomings, or spread rumors about your character. And although it might seem harmless or trivial, at the heart of it lies something deeper, a feeling of insecurity, inadequacy, or envy. The person spreading gossip is likely projecting their own unresolved emotions, trying to lessen the weight of their own self-doubt by diminishing yours, your successes, your happiness, your confidence. These things can serve as a mirror reflecting the very things they feel are missing in their own life. Instead of dealing with their emotions or confronting their own limitations, they try to bring you down, often by talking negatively about you to others. It's a defensive mechanism, not unlike trying to extinguish a bright flame by snuffing it out with the winds of doubt and rumors. They want to make themselves feel better by tarnishing your image, but in reality, this says more about them than it does about you. From a Stoic point of view, understanding this dynamic can help you maintain peace in the face of such behavior. The Stoics taught that the opinions of others, especially when they're fueled by jealousy, should have no power over your inner state. Epictetus reminds us that we cannot control the actions or words of others, but we can control our own reactions. So when someone gossips about you, instead of reacting with anger, resentment, or defensiveness, the Stoic approach would be to maintain your composure. Understand that their words reflect their internal struggles, not your reality. You don't need to engage with it, as this gossip holds no weight unless you give it space in your mind. The Stoics believed in focusing only on what is within your control, your actions, your values, your mindset, and letting go of the rest. Instead of being consumed by the negativity of others' gossip, you can turn inward and focus on your own self-development. Let the gossip roll off your back, like water off a duck's feathers. By not taking it personally and not retaliating, you maintain your integrity and dignity. This shows strength, not weakness. It's a demonstration of emotional control and wisdom. In fact, the less you react to such gossip, the more you show that you are above the petty drama that jealousy breeds. When you live by Stoic principles, you realize that gossip can't touch you unless you allow it to. It doesn't define who you are. If anything, the fact that others resort to gossiping about you when they're envious highlights your own growth and success. It's a sign that you're on the right path, because when people are jealous, they often try to tear down what they can't understand or attain. The key here is to stay grounded in your own values and purpose. Keep your mind clear of distractions and negative energy, knowing that as long as you remain true to yourself, you have nothing to prove to anyone, especially not to those who seek to undermine you with their words. Ultimately, the Stoic mindset encourages you to see gossip for what it is, a fleeting moment of weakness in others that you don't need to absorb. It's an opportunity for you to rise above, to remain calm and centered, and to keep walking the path of virtue and personal growth. Jealousy, in its many forms, cannot touch the person who has learned to master their own emotions and live a life led by wisdom and self-awareness. So, when gossip arises, remember that it's not your burden to carry. Let it pass like a passing storm, and continue to shine brighter than before. Sign 7. They mimic you. One of the most subtle yet revealing signs that someone may be jealous of you is when they start to mimic your behavior, appearance, or even the way you speak. At first glance, it may seem like a mere coincidence or an innocent form of admiration. After all, imitation is often seen as a form of flattery, right? But when you take a deeper look, especially through the lens of Stoic philosophy, you begin to realize that this mimicry may be less about admiration and more about insecurity. Someone who feels threatened by your presence or success may try to adopt your style, your mannerisms, or even the way you think, because they feel that they need to be like you in order to feel validated or worthy. But why does this happen? From a Stoic standpoint, it's important to understand that the root of jealousy and the need to imitate comes from an inner sense of inadequacy. A person who envies you may feel that they are somehow lacking, that they are falling short in comparison to your achievements, your personality, or your way of life. They might subconsciously believe that by imitating you, they can gain some of the respect, attention, or success that they see you attracting. It's the ego, the very part of us that the Stoics warn against, that drives this behavior. The ego is not concerned with wisdom or virtue. It is consumed with comparison, competition, and the desire to be seen as important or valuable. This is why someone who mimics you might not be doing it out of admiration, but out of a deep-seated feeling that they are somehow inferior and need to imitate your persona to compensate for that perceived lack. This mimicry often goes beyond simple behavior. It can manifest in how they dress, how they speak, and even the opinions they express. They might adopt phrases or ideas you often use, or try to reflect your mannerisms, as if they believe that by doing so, they can somehow embody the qualities they associate with you. It may feel like they are trying to be you, because in their mind, they believe that by becoming like you, they can attain what you have, your confidence, your success, your status, or the admiration that others give you. But the Stoics teach us that this kind of external imitation is a hollow pursuit. True virtue, wisdom, and happiness are not found in copying others, but in cultivating one's own inner character and strength. The Stoic ideal is not to seek validation through external appearances or to compare oneself to others, but to focus on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and virtues. When you notice someone mimicking you in this way, the Stoic response is to recognize that their behavior is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a reflection of their own inner turmoil. It's a sign of their struggle with their ego, their insecurity, and their attachment to external validation. Rather than feeling flattered or threatened, the Stoic approach is to detach from their actions and not allow their insecurity to disturb your peace of mind. You cannot control what others do, but you can control your response. The key is to remain grounded in your own identity and virtues, unaffected by the need for approval or the attempts of others to replicate what they see in you. In Stoic thought, true self-worth comes not from the validation of others or the external circumstances of life, but from living in accordance with nature and virtue. By continuing to cultivate your own character and focusing on your own growth, you not only maintain your peace of mind, but also avoid being drawn into the destructive cycles of comparison and competition. The Stoics understood that it is easy to become entangled in the judgments of others, but the wise person remains steady, undistracted by the imitation or envy of others. Instead, they focus on what they can control, how they live, how they respond to life's challenges, and how they contribute to the world around them. So, when someone begins to mimic you, don't take it personally. It's not a reflection of who you are, but a manifestation of their internal struggle. Recognize it for what it is, a sign of their own insecurities. Rather than reacting with anger or defensiveness, take it as an opportunity to reflect on your own values, to reinforce your commitment to your own path, and to deepen your understanding of Stoic principles. Remember, The ultimate goal is not to outshine others or to seek external validation, but to live a life of virtue, wisdom, and inner peace, unaffected by the fluctuations of the world around you. By doing so, you'll not only rise above the jealousy of others, but you'll also set a powerful example of the Stoic way of life, rooted in self-control, integrity, and tranquility. Sign 8. Quick to get defensive. When you find yourself around someone who is quick to get defensive, it's important to understand that this reaction often stems from deeper underlying emotions like insecurity, fear, and envy. People who feel jealous of you may become defensive as a means of protecting their fragile sense of self-worth. They fear that any criticism or challenge, no matter how minor, will expose their vulnerabilities, leading them to react in an exaggerated defensive manner. This defensiveness can show itself in many ways through quick, sharp responses, attempts to deflect blame, or even blaming others for their own shortcomings. When someone feels threatened by your success or the attention you're receiving, they may respond in a way that feels disproportionate to the situation. They might interpret even the slightest comment as an attack, which is a sign that their emotions are out of balance. From a Stoic perspective, such reactions are a clear indication that the person is struggling to maintain control over their internal state. They are too focused on how they are perceived, rather than on the reality of the situation. Their defensiveness is a product of their inability to detach from external circumstances and maintain their inner peace. In Stoic philosophy, we're taught that we cannot control the actions or reactions of others, but we can control how we respond to them. When someone gets defensive, it's crucial to remember that their emotional reaction is not a reflection of you, but of their internal battle. It's often not about what you did or said, but rather about what they're feeling about themselves. Their jealousy and insecurities have clouded their judgment, making them quick to assume that they are being attacked, when in fact no attack may have occurred at all. It's a natural human tendency to protect our egos when we feel threatened, but the Stoic approach encourages us to recognize this reaction for what it is, a moment of weakness, not strength. When confronted with a defensive person, the Stoic would advise you to maintain your calm and not fall into the trap of engaging with their defensiveness. Instead of becoming defensive yourself, you can choose to respond with wisdom and composure, understanding that their reaction is a reflection of their internal conflict, not yours. This allows you to rise above the situation and avoid becoming entangled in an emotional exchange. The Stoics remind us that our peace of mind should not be disturbed by the irrational responses of others. By observing and understanding the defensive reactions of others, we can gain insight into their struggles and insecurities, and avoid taking their defensiveness personally. Their inability to handle criticism or confrontation is a sign of their own emotional unrest, not a measure of your worth or actions. Moreover, when someone is constantly defensive, it may also suggest a lack of self-awareness. They may not even realize how their defensive reactions are sabotaging their relationships or their growth. The Stoic way is to embrace the power of self-awareness and to constantly work on improving oneself without the need to protect one's ego at every turn. In contrast, the defensive person remains stuck in a cycle of emotional reactivity, unable to break free from their own limiting beliefs and fears. As a Stoic, it's important to understand that jealousy, defensiveness, and insecurity are natural human emotions, but they don't define us. What defines us is our ability to rise above them, to maintain our composure in the face of adversity, and to focus on our own growth and virtue. So, when someone shows signs of defensiveness, it's important to detach from their emotions and see them for what they truly are, an indication of their own personal struggle, not a reflection of your actions or worth. By practicing Stoicism, you can avoid being pulled into the emotional turmoil of others and instead focus on cultivating your own strength, wisdom, and peace. When faced with defensiveness, your role is not to engage in a battle of egos, but to remain centered, compassionate, and clear-headed, knowing that the only thing you can truly control is your own response. Sign 9. Sabotage or undermining efforts. When jealousy takes root in someone's heart, it often manifests in more covert ways, especially through attempts to sabotage or undermine your efforts. This sign can be tricky because it doesn't always appear as overt hostility or direct confrontation. Instead, the jealous person may use subtle tactics to interfere with your success, often without you even realizing it at first. They may begin by spreading rumors, making negative comments about your work, or attempting to discredit your achievements to others. Sometimes these individuals may try to make you doubt your abilities by offering unsolicited and unnecessary criticism, questioning your decisions, or belittling your accomplishments. On the surface, it may seem like harmless advice or constructive feedback, but upon closer inspection, it becomes clear that their true intent is to undermine your confidence and halt your progress. In some cases, they may go as far as to actively create obstacles in your path. For example, they may withhold important information, slow down your projects, or even spread misinformation that causes others to doubt your abilities. This type of sabotage can be incredibly frustrating because it feels like a betrayal, and it can make you question whether you're on the right path or if you're being unfairly targeted. The feeling of being undermined can be isolating, as it may seem like you're constantly battling against invisible forces, making it harder for you to move forward. From a Stoic perspective, it's important to understand that such actions are a reflection of the other person's inner turmoil, rather than any reflection of your own value or capabilities. The Stoics teach us that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond. When someone tries to sabotage your efforts, it's an opportunity to practice emotional detachment and resilience. Instead of becoming angry or retaliating, we are encouraged to observe their behavior with a sense of understanding, realizing that their jealousy stems from their own insecurities and fears, not from a legitimate threat to your success. By recognizing that their actions are born from their own internal struggles, we free ourselves from the urge to react in a way that might disrupt our own peace of mind. Moreover, the Stoic approach invites us to focus on what is within our control, the pursuit of our own goals, personal development, and the cultivation of virtues like patience and perseverance. The more we focus on our own growth, the less power the jealousy of others holds over us. Stoicism teaches that we should not allow the actions of others to disturb our equanimity. Instead of reacting impulsively or letting their sabotage affect our sense of self-worth, we are called to rise above these distractions and continue on our path with integrity and confidence. When dealing with sabotage, it's crucial to remain grounded and unaffected by the negativity around you. Recognize that the person sabotaging your efforts may be dealing with their own fears, insecurities, or a sense of inadequacy, which prompts them to lash out in this manner. This insight can help you view their behavior with a sense of compassion rather than frustration, as you realize that they may be suffering in ways that are invisible to you. Additionally, by maintaining focus on your own goals and refusing to let these disruptions divert your attention, you demonstrate true strength. The Stoic ideal is to cultivate an inner peace that no external force can shake, and by rising above the efforts to sabotage you, you show that you are not only resilient, but also committed to living a life in alignment with your values, rather than one dictated by the petty actions of others. In the end, when someone attempts to sabotage or undermine your efforts, you can take solace in the Stoic wisdom that your journey is yours alone. Their interference is temporary, but your character, your pursuit of virtue, and your commitment to growth are all things that remain firmly within your control. Let this be a reminder that no matter the obstacles thrown in your path, the true measure of success lies not in external recognition or the opinions of others, but in your ability to maintain your peace and continue moving forward with integrity. Sign 10. Insincere encouragement. A subtle yet telling sign that someone might be jealous of you is when they offer insincere encouragement. At first glance, it might seem like they're cheering you on, but if you pay closer attention, you might notice that their praise lacks depth or authenticity. They may use positive words or gestures, yet their tone or body language doesn't match the sincerity one would expect from someone genuinely happy for your success. This type of encouragement can feel patronizing, as if they're offering you just enough to appear supportive, but there's an underlying current of competition or subtle disdain. They may seem enthusiastic, but it feels more like a formality than a true desire for your well-being. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on the things we can control: our thoughts, actions, and responses to external events. When faced with insincere encouragement, it's important to recognize that it stems not from your actions, but from the insecurities or jealousy of others. The Stoics remind us that we cannot control how others behave or what they say, but we can control how we interpret and respond to these things. Recognizing insincere encouragement for what it is, a reflection of someone else's internal struggle, can help us maintain a sense of peace. Rather than getting upset or feeling hurt by their words, we can respond with equanimity, understanding that their encouragement is a projection of their own feelings, not a reflection of our worth. By doing so, we don't allow their jealousy to disrupt our own inner calm. Instead of retaliating or engaging with the negativity, we can continue our journey towards self-improvement, knowing that true encouragement comes from those who genuinely wish for our success. Insincere praise can also be an opportunity for us to practice compassion and humility, understanding that people often act out of fear or insecurity. Ultimately, the Stoic path encourages us to remain focused on our own growth and not be swayed by the fluctuating opinions of others. True strength lies in maintaining our virtue, our purpose, and our direction, regardless of the distractions or jealous behaviors that may come our way. Jealousy is a reflection of internal struggles, not your worth or success. As Stoics, we must approach such situations with empathy, recognizing that these behaviors stem from insecurity. Instead of reacting with anger, maintain your composure and focus on your own journey. If you found value in this video, consider subscribing to the Stoic Inspire channel for more insights on Stoic philosophy, personal growth, and self-improvement. Remember, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Until next time, stay calm, stay wise.